Hey, welcome back to the Experience Share. My name is Blake, and today we have to right or wrong. I have Bruce from Golden Eagle Cards here. Him and I both went back and made tier lists. I made mine 6 months ago. Bruce's, if you haven't seen it, you got to check it out. His was about a week ago, but we both forgot the artifacts. So
We
we're
both
gonna
didn't do
rectify
them.
this wrong here, and we're gonna go through them together. All right, Bruce. Let's start off with the mixes. How are you feeling about the mixes? And just a reminder for this tier list, if you haven't seen it before. So it's broken out a little bit different than your S, A, B, C, D. It's in this flexible and powerful or fine category. And so if it's flexible, it can go into any deck of, really now of any affinity. There's no sort of specific threshold because we're talking about artifacts. For narrow, these are kind of build around cards. And powerful, obviously, that's going to be better than the fine. And then kind of bad are cards that we're just not going to play right now. Maybe in future sets they'll be better. And this is specifically prior to Arthurian Legends coming out. And this is just a review of the alpha and beta meta. So, Bruce, where do we want to start off with the mixes? How do you feel about Mix Air, Aqua, Ignis, and Terra?
I think they're really good sometimes. They're kind of card disadvantaged. If you crack a mix to play something, that's two cards you've spent to get one thing on the board. And if they spend one card to remove it, you're at one. You spent two to their one, so you get two for one. But the tempo you can get off of these cards are really strong. So I think they're probably narrow and powerful.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And with the knights too, something that's cool is if
Mm-hmm.
as long as the knight has one of those threshold, it's you ignore all the threshold costs. That's my understanding. Is that right?
Yep. Nope. That's how you got it.
So that's a great way to be able to cast these hard to cast knights that are coming up in Arthurian Legends as well. Magellan
Absolutely.
Globe, the Pathfinder Go Around the Realm card. What are your thoughts here? How do you think about it?
Narrow and fine. Like it's cute. If you can make use off of it, Wandering Pilgrim can be really good. You play to all the corners, and you can draw cards and have a fun time. But like, it's fine.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's narrow and fine. You play it in Pathfinder, and maybe there's a new avatars that come out in the future that makes you want to play it. I will say in like 4 player games, Magellan Globe makes the board kind
Mm.
of crazy, and it's a ton of fun.
That's
All
awesome.
right, the muzzle here, gosh, it's your favorite candle combo. You play it, but outside of candle combo, I don't know if muzzle's ever been played at all. Um, is it narrow and
There
fine to
is.
you, or is it kind of bad?
It's kind of bad. There's a bit of a combo list where you can magnetic muzzle your opponent's avatar with courtesan Thias when you control them, and then you just shut them off the game. It's pretty rough, uh, but it's kind of bad.
Yeah. And speaking of kind of bad, all terrain. It's hard for me to think of a world where I'm playing that card.
Exactly. Yeah, like the it's 3 mana for an artifact. You need a minion on board to do something with. Yeah, no, it's not great.
And I think months ago, I think Angel's Egg probably would have been in the flexible and fine category, but I don't think that's the case anymore. I'm thinking flexible and powerful. Yeah, I don't know. You correct me here.
I think it's flexible and powerful. Like going into roots, it's a little rough because they don't win on damage; they win on tempo and like destroying everything. I think going into Avatar of Air, you really want an Angel's Egg because it just blanks a lot of their minions. Um, yeah.
And
Yep. Belfry.
I don't think that's a card I've ever played. Um,
I've seen it in wolves decks. It's kind of cute where you have a bunch of wolves and you attack and then you untap with them and it makes it a little annoying. But it's a minion payoff card. If you don't have any minions, it doesn't do anything. So it's kind of bad.
Kind of bad. Yeah, I am right there with you. And so next we have the Black Obelisk, which is a card that I was high on when I first started playing. I'm like, oh, come on, you get 2 extra threshold each time. Like that's got to be strong. But no, I don't think so. Uh,
The losing the life is really rough. You die really quickly without Obelisk. It's like you play it mid to late game, maybe, but you're already then at a lot of mana, so I think it's kind of bad.
yep, I agree. And Devil's Egg, I'll have to throw in that right up there next to Angel's Egg. I don't know. You correct me here. Flexible and powerful. What are your thoughts? Where does Angel's Egg live, or Devil's Egg live for you?
I think Devil's Egg is right there with Angel's Egg. It's a clock. You put it on a burrowed bats and hide underneath your opponent's sight. They're on a clock, right?
Yep.
You have to deal with it, and yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, and the fact that it ticks twice, right? That you lose life on both turns, like that's what makes Angel's Egg and Devil's Egg so strong.
Exactly. Yep.
All right. Screaming Skull, a card when Battle Mage was rampant. Everybody thought it was like, oh, this is such a good combo card. I'm going to throw it in Narrow and Fine. What are your thoughts?
Totally agree. Yeah, with Battle Mage kind of like going down in playability with just the other decks in the meta, Screaming Skull definitely goes down for me.
Yep. And so next we have Chains of Prometheus. I guess it's flexible. I think it's fine, though. I don't know. Flexible and fine is kind of where I'm headed. What are your thoughts?
I think it's narrow because you have to deal with it too. It taps your stuff down, so it really only is nice for like Enchantress, where the order of the turn, your aura minions are no longer minions when you draw a card, so changes a one-sided tap effect. Other than that, it's pretty bad.
All right, I'll give that to you. So is it fine or is it just bad then?
I think it's narrow and fine.
Okay.
Because it can be really good.
All right. Land Deed. Stealing opponent's sites. I mean, if you're standing on your opponent's sides, it feels powerful, but I haven't seen much successful land deeds.
I would agree. It's really cool with larger minions or the minions that take up more than one spot, because then you can kind of like absorb a lot of your opponent's sites all at once. Kind of bad, narrow and fine. Just it's 4 mana to almost do nothing.
Yeah. But what if I have a root spider under my opponent's site, right? And then I
What if we all lived in happy Christmas land? Yeah, no, exactly.
Well, then we don't have a Maddening Bells on top of us, which is our next card here, which has been a blast to play. Maybe not for my opponents, but for me, I've enjoyed playing Maddening Bells with Witch. How are you feeling about Maddening Bells?
I've seen some of your Witch gameplay. Maddening Bells is really scary in that, and it's also scary in Avatar of Air. Just like the disruption it causes is so annoying. Flexible and powerful, I think. If you have actually maybe narrow and powerful, because you have to build around it. You can't just play this and have it work. You got to really put some work into it.
Yeah, I agree with you there, because it can be a do nothing if nothing is that, if you don't build around it and you cast a minion, because you have to have a minion on your opponent's side or have a way to get it over there. But what do? Maddening Bells can be very disruptive. All right, next we had Mask of Mayhem. And this is a card that I tried to play and didn't exactly understand how it worked, and it was much worse than I thought it was.
My first gameplay video is, again, just I forget his name, but he has an Avatar of Air, Mask of Mayhem, turtles, like make you attack into my bridge troll kind of deck. It's the deck that's broken my brain the most, of just trying to figure out what's going to happen, and then I think I have it, and then the next turn I had no idea what's going to happen. It's very narrow, but it's kind of bad, but kind of fine.
All right. We got to put it in the spot. I would lean towards bad. Where are you putting it?
I'm going to put it in narrow and fine, because if you build around it and like force it to work, it's really good.
Sounds good. This was a pet card of a lot of people at the very beginning of Alpha and Beta. That's Drums of Doom. And I don't know if it ever really found a home. It's a 5 mana, great card for some casual play. I don't know. I'm going to throw it. I'm thinking kind of bad right now. Correct me here.
If we're talking about constructed, I think it's kind of bad. 6 months to a year ago, Sorcery was really, really grindy. So people were trying to figure out ways to kill minions. So Drums of Doom was kind of it. I think in Limited, it's a powerhouse. Like if you're playing Draft or Sealed or something, and you get Drums of Doom, it's really good, because removal is so sparse. But in Constructed, I think it's kind of bad, because you'd rather just play Bury.
Yeah. And speaking of removal that just doesn't live up to the hype, Payload Trebuchet, kind of I'm thinking right there with it with Drums of Doom. I'm throwing the kind of bad category.
I don't think I've ever played this card. I have no. If you ask me what it does, I have no idea.
I have discarded a large minion and thrown it at an opponent, which I do think was on a video. But other than memeing, I've never actually tried to play this card for constructive purposes.
Gotcha.
All right, the Purge Juggernaut. This is another card that I've actually never seen play. How are you feeling?
Yep. I think we can just smack this into kind of bad.
Boom.
Yeah.
All right, Undertaker Engine. How are you feeling about that one?
I think it's probably pretty narrow and fine if you're trying to do like some shenanigans like burrowing Immortal Throne or something or unburn. I don't know. I think it might be kind of bad.
Yeah, I wanted to put it in fine. That's kind of where I was hovering it, but I'm trying to think of like when do you ever want to play this 7 mana, and maybe it's in a throne deck. But now with deck sizes and a 7 mana 4 power, isn't that great? I don't know if they bury all of your cores, but let's be honest, they're not burying cores anymore. They're giving you a rock instead. So
Exactly.
probably not playing Undertaker Engine. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
But speaking of cards that you probably are going to play, let's switch over to some of the uniques now and our cores. Where are you putting cores? Is that like are those kind of bad now that Just Rock exists, or?
Oh, it's Just a Rock has broken the game, don't you know?
So a little bit of facetious here from both of us, but I think Just Rock is a fine card, but they're trading one card for one card, and a lot of the times they're spending 3 mana because they're gonna have to tutor it with common sense. I think Just Rock is a fine card. I think I'll probably play it, but I don't think it's a meta warping, meta defining. Sorcery is not going to be fun anymore card.
If you're playing 2 disenchants right now, one of those disenchants is going to be a Just a Rock, but you're still going to play a disenchant. Like, it's fine.
Yeah. The world is not over. Sorcery still lives on. Even though you might lose your Excalibur, they might become a rock.
And it'll be hilarious. But I think these the cores are. I'm just going to group cores as one thing. Flexible and powerful. Like going into the larger deck size, you're not going to see them as much, but they're still very good.
Yeah, absolutely. And that you don't really want to see them late game, right? You want to see them early, and so they definitely are not as strong going into the next format. But yeah, you're still going to be playing your cores. If your deck is playing cores now, it's going to continue to play cores. But like your aggressive Avatar of Air deck, probably not going to play a core. It hasn't needed to. I don't know. Maybe it needs the extra card now.
I would agree with everything you just said. Yeah.
All right. And so Philosopher's Stone, separating that out from the cores, any additional kind of comments or thoughts that you have around Philosopher's Stone?
It's a better core. You play Philosopher's Stone in 3 or 4 color deck, maybe some 2 color decks. It's still very good. You're still going to play it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think one thing that not everybody knows about it is you can do the passing between, if you have an Apprentice Wizard next to your avatar, you can pass that Philosopher's Stone back and forth and get double discounts. That's obviously really strong as well. And not everybody necessarily knows of that combo. So moving away from the cores and the stones, Ethereum Mechanism, we talked a little bit about the princess in our tier list review video. How do you feel about Ethereum Mechanism?
Like Mechanism plus Haunt is really, really good. Like controlling like lightning bolts or thunderstorms is really strong. I would say flexible and fine, just because you ask your opponent to do something, you can build around it a little bit, but it's also unique. So I'm not sure. What do you think?
Yeah, Spark Mage always plays it. I was playing it in the Death Speaker Reanimator deck that I had to get rid of some of the random outcomes with Raised Dead. I think it's a fine card. In certain archetypes, like it's really powerful, but you need the Highland Princess to go fetch it. You can't rely on it, so I think it's fine. I think that's a good place to be able to put it.
Yeah.
Right. And next we have the Guild. Was it Gilded Aegis?
Gilded Aegis, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. We have Knights are coming out. Are they excited to wear some armor? Where are you putting it?
I think it's kind of bad. I played around with it, like when Roots was starting to get really popular. I was like, well, if they pop Roots and I have a minion on board with a gilded, it's like it sticks around, right? It's just like it was never consistent. It's a unique. So I think it's kind of bad because it's a minion payoff. And if they just bury your guy, it's still dead.
Oh man, I don't know. I think it's fine, right? I've never seen anybody play Gilded Aegis. I've played it once. I was playing it in the sideboard of my Avatar of Air deck. I'm like, oh, if they're playing a lot of removal, I could use that as like a 2 mana. It's like, but I kind of agree. Maybe if there's a lot of knights, like maybe it's flexible and fine because you just play in all your knights decks. No, I agree though. All right, manuscript. It's a card that I wanted to work
Uh,
so bad with turtles, with the Adapt Illusionist, frog.
it's really good with Plague of Frogs, yeah, with like Tadpole Pool. It's kind of cute, but like you're spending so many cards to get manuscript to work. It takes so long to be card positive, and usually you're dead by then. Probably narrow and fine. Like card draw is good, but like it's just very awkward.
All right, I agree with you there. I don't know. I want to make it powerful because I comboing with it, but yeah, it's powerful when it goes off. But it's so like the decks are not great that it would be built in. The build around isn't there.
Exactly.
Speaking of cards that I haven't seen much, Blasted Oak. What are
It's
your
really
thoughts?
annoying when it's annoying, but usually it does nothing, right?
Yeah, I've actually have never played against the Blasted Oak. So it sounds like you might have had some experience with it.
Just like randomly, locally, just like, oh, my thunderbolts or fire, it's thunderstorm, and it's just like, who plays this card? Why is this here? Stop. But the effect is really cool. But it's usually a 3 mana do nothing.
And so if you're like me and you're reading what it does right now, it's if a spell or non-basic ability can target in order of precedence Blasted Oak, its site or location, or anything else at its site or location, it must. So lightning bolt has to hit the Blasted Oak basically.
Yep. Yeah, it's a lightning rod.
There you go. Is that kind of bad? Where are you putting it?
I think it's kind of bad because it asks your opponent to play a certain way, and you can't control that, so it's bad in my mind.
Now in cube, that could be a fun card to throw in there.
Oh, that's a very good idea.
Crown of the Victor. Where are we putting this?
Uh,
Are you putting this crown on top of your, Avatar of Air, or sorry, Avatar of Earth? Where do you want it?
I think it's narrow and powerful. Like if you can, even if it's not your avatar, or like usually it's on your avatar because it can't be like buried, but um, that +3 power turning a battle mage into a 6 power unit is huge.
Yeah,
I think it's narrow and powerful.
yeah, I'll agree with that. It's hard to go off because it's like 3 mana has to kill something. Then you, all right, oh, I guess no, you can get the effect right away if it's killed something before.
Yep.
Yeah, it could be a 3 mana, 3 damage. That couldn't be. Yeah, I agree. Narrow and powerful works for me. 7 League Boots. Extra mobility. How important is that for you for 3 mana?
Uh, like there's some cute combos with the what's the meadow, the water card that grows the more sites it's in, or like with land deed.
Yep.
I think it's narrow and fine. Like the movement's really cool, but you're moving
Yeah,
a
it was
bunch, but
blocking
the
now
minion payoff.
because I mean you can
Yeah,
basically block everything that's untapped that way. But I, I don't, I don't know when you're using it. I don't know.
I think
Maybe
it's a fun minion payoff, right? Like I put it on the Great Old One once. That was hilarious. But
I
I
all
think
right,
I think it's fine.
all right. We'll leave it at fine. It might be bad. If Aegis is bad, I don't know. The boots might be bad. Um,
Yeah.
but speaking of not bad, it's going to be a doomsday device. Where are we dropping our
What are you
doomsday
talking?
device?
What do you mean not bad? This is this is 4 mana. Wait 3 more turns to maybe do some damage. It's
Come on. And you have to walk into your opponent's avatar too. Make sure you give them a little gift.
but they can tap and move and it blows up and they're gonna get hit 8, not the 20. It's it's so bad. I
It's,
want it to be better. Maybe like Arthurian Legends, there'll be like some counter shenanigans. You can remove one counter or add a counter, like really mess with it. But yeah.
okay, but what if you did a custom format where there's Doomday Device? No, I'm kidding. It's kind of bad. I agree. Okay, but come on. Surely for the throne lovers out there, the Immortal Throne, is it bad?
Um, I think it's narrow and powerful. Like it's really good. Like it's 4 mana. Start drawing some cards off of some playing a land and some cheap spells. Going into the new format of 60 or sorry 50/30. You're not going to see this as often, so it kind of goes down some there. Maybe it's flexible and fun, not flexible, narrow and powerful. I think
Yep.
maybe narrow and fine. I'm not sure. What do you think?
Uh, yeah, I don't know. I'll leave it at powerful for now. I will say the first time I saw this card, I had no idea. I'm like, how do you get the first counter on there? What, you have to play dodge roll? There's like a single
Oh
zero
yeah.
cost card. So unless you're mid, if you already know the answer to this, but if you tap and play a site, you get to draw a card the first time. So this is really like you play it, past turn 5. Play this down, play a site, draw a card.
Yep.
All right. Orb. How are you feeling about Orb? To me? It's very similar to Throne in my opinion. Like I think it's narrow and powerful, but where does Orb sit with you?
I think it's narrow and fine. Whereas the Immortal Throne, like you play it, then play a land, you get your card back immediately. Or if you play this on 5, you gotta wait another turn, then play a card, and then maybe you get a card back. Is like and then double spell. So I think it's probably narrow and fine.
All right. Yep. I'll bump it down. You're right. I'd rather play an Immortal Throne. All right. How often do you throw a Spear of Destiny at your opponent?
Um, I can't say I've ever done this outside of limited.
Oh, limited. That would be fun. That game feels like it has to be a stalemate, but that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Kind of bad. Is that where we're at?
Uh, but it just kills everything. I don't. There's been some Avatar of Air decks that can like throw Spear of Destiny everywhere and then like push your minions around and keep throwing it. And narrow and fine is my guess because like the ability to kill anything consistently is really good.
For 5 mana
Yeah,
and give
that's
them
good.
the thing that kills everything.
But like Avatar of Air can like push your minion, like mitigate that. Like how often with Boulder do they just like bounce around and push Boulder everywhere?
Sure. Yeah, but I guess. All right, that's fine. Boulder's 4, does 4 damage. It hits an avatar. I Yeah, it's fine. All right, we'll wrap it up here with the Pendulum of Peril. And how are you thinking about Pendulum? I don't know. I guess I kind of lean towards narrow and fine, but
I would agree. I have a special place for Pendulum Apparel. In at Gen Con, I drafted a Pendulum Apparel on my last draft, and it won me my final game. I ended up going 3-0 and getting a foil basic land site pack of the new basic lands because of Pendulum Apparel. So it has a special
those of us
place to
who've
me.
never opened up the foil basic lands, how many are in there? How many do you get? Is it one of each?
It's one of each new basic land. So the valley and wasteland, like the ones you can play any number of. Um,
So you won one. So you have one down. You just need 11 more, and you'll be in a good spot.
yeah, one down, and it's just there'll be a promo in the Dust Store, I think in October, but got them a little
Alright.
early thanks to Pendulum Peril. But I think it's narrow and fine. Like it can be really really good, but 6 mana is just a big ask.
Yeah, it is. It is. Okay, so to wrap us up here, going into Arthurian Legends, does anything stand out to you as like, oh, these just get so much better, or this gets so much worse?
I think I kind of rated them with Arthurian Legends in mind. Maybe Screaming Skull gets really good because with like First Strike of with the Lance, you can really like take advantage of that. But also putting a Screaming Skull on a minion is really dangerous. You can get 2-for-1 really easily. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, the ones I would lean on, I would say the mixes are the ones that I think actually get quite a
Mm,
bit better with the knights. I would say that for sure. Everything else, because of just the nature of artifacts, right now the power level of them, and you can just kind of look at the screen here where things ended up. Like you have your cores and your stone that are flexible and powerful, and then the eggs. You're going to see the eggs less often. I think they're probably still going to be in that flexible and powerful space. Like I think people are still going to be playing eggs. If you're an aggressive strategy, you're still playing devil's eggs. If you're a defensive strategy, you're still playing angel's egg. Um,
Yep.
you know, maybe I, it's hard for me to say. I don't know. I would love for there to be more throne pieces. Like if there's a way to tutor an artifact, maybe Immortal Throne. If there's a way to be able to play that, and that's just because the combo in me wants to be able to play Immortal Throne. But I think Mix is probably the one that I would see.
Yeah, I can definitely see mixes getting a lot better with the crazy thresholds that are coming out.
Yeah, definitely. So first, I just want to give a shout out to Golden Eagle Cards, Bruce here, that to do this tier list review with me, to do the colorless tier list with me as well. And so I'll have it linked in the description below to Golden Eagle Cards. Bruce, anything you want to close this out with?
Thanks for having me. Been great. Been to have a great conversation. Had a good time.
Awesome. Glad to hear it, sir. Well, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Take care.